Hello, my name is Michelle. I am 49 and I taught for, oh my gosh, probably about 20 years full time. This is my third year being a part time teacher, part time entrepreneur. I have one rental property that I'm doing rent by the room, and then I have a teacher pay teacher store, uh, which primarily focuses on like English stuff, but that's not like a big money maker. I might make 25 to maybe 100 on a good month. So this is my attempt at doing velocity banking. I've been trying, I've been tweaking. I'm excited. I got some ups, I got some downs, but I think I'm finally getting the, I guess, the feel of it. So I was on here last month in May, giving my plan, telling y'all I'll be back on here. Let's see in June. So I'm sticking to my word. This is my June video. So I thought the first thing I should do is do a recap of my May spending. And so if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notebook right there. So in May, I spent, let me see, where's my little thing? Okay, so in May, I spent $496.37 on takeaway, i.e., eating out. I know, and it's just me. For groceries, I spent $255.74. For miscellaneous, I spent $272.68. And I feel like those three categories, that's where I kind of got to get a handle, because if I could get a handle on that, I would have more money that I could then apply to my debt payoff. So I got to work on that. But I really just started tracking my spending in April. So when I compared the numbers and I looked, for April, I spent a total for groceries and eating out, or takeaway, I like to call it, is I spent $831.64. And in May, for those two categories, I spent $752.11. So that was a difference of $79.53. So while it's not a big difference, it's I'm getting there, getting better. And then for my miscellaneous, April I spent $315.89. In May I spent $272.68. So that was a difference of $43.21. So again, not some huge gains, but I'm getting better. I think there's levels to this tracking your spending. I think like step one is just literally track it. And then I think now that I've done it for 2 months, I can see even like, when, because really I was doing okay in May. And then the last 2 weeks of May, my mental health went, and then I just started eating a bunch of desserts and takeout and just, not being as disciplined with my spending. So I'm hoping for June to be a little better. So what I do is I do velocity banking for two of my credit cards. I do it with American Express and I do it with Old Navy. I have another card, Total Rewards, but that one isn't like open, so to speak. It's open, but like I can't put anything on it. And so just quick backstory, if this is your first video watching mine. When I switched to part-time, I really started like trying to update my house. And the problem was I had like a lead issue because one of my tenants' kids was eating the lead off the wall, and it cost me like close to 20,000. And then the house sat empty for like 8 months. And then because I was only working part-time, like I could not cover like my bills plus the bills connected to the house. So it really just ruined my credit. So what I'm trying to do now is just pay off the stuff that's current, and then I'll work my way back to the stuff that's already been like charged off and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. So for my Old Navy is the one that I'm trying to pay off by August, and I think I'm on track to do that. My plan is that I'm going to do 500 a month, and someone made a really good suggestion about maybe make smaller payments, and then that way my credit limit won't drop, because when I made the last $500 payment, or the April one, Old Navy dropped my credit limit by 500. But because my life, I'm trying to simplify it, and I cannot make anything more complicated than it needs to be. So I've decided I'm just gonna make $500 payments, and if they keep dropping it, then they just keep dropping it. So luckily for my June paycheck, I had some tutoring that I had done in May, so that was on there. So I was able to make a $500 payment to Old Navy. So we'll have to see if they drop it by 500. But the cool thing is about making that $500 payment means now I owe under 3,000. I think it's about like 20. It should be about 28ish. We'll see once the payment clears. So what I'm doing is for Old Navy, the minimum payment is $112.90, and I'll insert probably here so you can see it. But the minimum payment is $112.90, and how I cover that is I do my T-Mobile bill, which is $74.15. I do my Spectrum because that's who I have my internet through, and that's $56.99. And then I do HBO Max, which is $15.99. That totals $147.13, which means I met my minimum payment, so I'm super happy about that. Then for American Express, the minimum payment is $250, and I cover that with my car insurance, which is $242.69, and then my renter's insurance is $17.42. So that totals $260.11. So I met that minimum payment, so it works out. So I think I'm getting a handle. I think I've worked out the velocity banking side of things. And so now if I could just get a handle on the spending, then I would, of course, be able to do so much better. And I'm using a spending tracker, and you know how life is. Like, you start off the month, you're like on fire. I'm all coding all my little transactions and putting it on my calendar. And then, of course, as the month goes on, you're like getting lost. So that is one of my things that I think is going to help me kind of rein in my spending a little bit. Is I need to create a time each week where I'm actually sitting down and making sure that I'm updating my spending tracker so that I can really see like how I'm spending. And so my goal this month for June is that I want to have, let me see, what was my thing? Okay, so for May, I spent $752 on takeout and groceries. So my goal is to reduce it by 100, because you figure I spent $79, almost $80 less than I did from April to May. So I don't think it would be that hard to spend at least 100 less, so that when I get on here in July, I can tell you all that those two categories combined were about $600. That's what I'm hoping. And then the other category that seems to be yet a problem is this miscellaneous. And I think what's happening with miscellaneous is it's exactly what it sounds like. Like, it's stuff like somebody has a birthday, or, you got to give a gift, or, you randomly pick up something. So I figure if I can keep the miscellaneous, last month, the miscellaneous was like $272. In April, it was $315. So I'm thinking if I can keep miscellaneous under $150, that would also be good. Because my plan is that once I can create a little bit more margin in my budget as far as this discretionary spending, that whatever's left in that account, I can just move to debt. Because I think I'm getting better even with the bank account. So what I have right now as far as checking accounts, is I have 3. So I have one where my paycheck is landing. And then what I do is I take out a specific amount, which is $2,300, and I move it to my bill account, because that's my base rate. Well, technically, it's not my base rate. My base rate is $3,300. But what I was doing to get the bonus from Regions is I was having like $1,000 go to that account. So I've kind of just earmarked that Regions account as like my It's like my discretionary spending. Of course, I do not want to be spending over $1,000 every month on discretionary spending, but it's easy to keep track that way. So again, I moved the $2,300 from Capital One to Fifth Third, and no, none of these banks have sponsored this, but it's just easier for me to say the banks to keep myself from getting confused. So that money moves, and then that's my bill account. So a win for me this month is that the bill account reconciled, meaning matched up exactly. So I was so happy because it's probably one of the first times in my life I've even been that organized, because normally I kind of have my spending and my bill account kind of mixed together. So I like that. So the bill account, we're on the roll. What I ended up doing with the money that was left over in Capital One, because of course that was like my tutoring money. What I ended up doing was I took 500 of it and put it on Old Navy. And then what I'm gonna do is, because I did go over on my spending for May, which means where'd that money come from, I ended up putting it on a Fidelity credit card. So I want to use what's left in that Capital One account to pay off the Fidelity. So that way I'm not like creating more debt. And then my Regions one is the one where I'm like tracking my spending, and it's working out. The only thing that's like messing me up, well, first of all, Regions is great because you can get daily text, and I'm sure other banks do this. You can get daily text on what your balance is, and it's not quite matching, but it's pretty close to what's on my spending tracker and what Regions is saying that I have. So it's pretty close. But the thing that has, oh, Lord, has messed me up, I got to figure out a way to settle my mind, or when I get stressed or overwhelmed or sad, depressed, whatever emotion it is that is causing me to spend, I'm going to have to do something else other than spend money, because I'm recording this on June 9th. And I sat down yesterday to track my spending for the first 8 days, and I'm already at like $600. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So, and of course, we know that the majority of that is food. So I gotta get something. I gotta do better with this. I think part of my big issue is it's my dinner bill, and just because the little sweets, they're really not. I mean, me going to Dairy Queen for $5 here, $10 here, that's really not the problem. The problem is I absolutely love like seafood, and so I've been really binging on like gumbo and catfish, and 25 here, 30 here, 50 here, 60 here, that really adds up. So I'm trying this month. I have promised myself that no matter how my mental health is, no matter how I am feeling, whatever I have said I'm eating for dinner for the week, that is what I'm eating. Under no circumstances can I go spend $60 on some food because it'll make me feel better. So that's the plan. So I hope that that's going to work. So again, thank you for following along on this journey. I definitely feel like I'm getting kind of my sea legs, so to speak, and getting a handle on it. I do much better when I have like routines and systems and stuff. So I think I'm getting there. And I have started summer school, which means I'm about 100% sure I'll be able to pay off Old Navy, because of course I'll use some of that money. But I really, really, ideally would love to get my discretionary spending to honestly somewhere between like 500 and 700, like maybe 800 on a like busy month. But I don't want this to keep lingering in the thousands every month. Like, going from 1,200 to 1,100. I'm getting better, but I really do want it. Hopefully, maybe I could be realistic and say maybe by like December of this year, because that gives me a few more months to figure this out, that I could get it down to about maybe 600 might be my sweet spot, because I'm eating healthier, and I think that once I get these systems with my food, I'll be better, because like I eat the exact same thing every single day for lunch and for breakfast, which is why I can maintain that. I used to do intermittent fasting, but now that I'm really focused on my eating, and so I really try to do 80% of what I eat is organic or non-GMO. I just am not kind of eating kind of garbage quite so much. So like for breakfast, I have like organic oatmeal, and I buy like those containers. I have some protein powder that I add to it, and I've started to puree some frozen fruit, put a little cinnamon, and that's what I eat every single morning. And then for lunch, I do yogurt, like organic Greek yogurt. It's like almond, French vanilla, and then I puree a different fruit, and then I put some cinnamon on it, and I put granola, and I eat it every single day. Now the problem is I am not a nutritionist, but I don't think that that's enough calories. And so this week I'm going to introduce smoothies into my lunch, which means I'm going to blend up like carrots and kale and Venus Williams has this protein powder that some YouTuber I watched talked about, and it's like a fruity flavor. So I'm gonna see if I can add that in, and see if that way I can get my vegetables in and also get a few more calories and nutrients. And then this week for dinner, I haven't quite decided, but what I'm gonna try to get my dinner menu is I'm gonna try to do it by week. So like maybe 1 week is like Mexican food, 1 week is salads, 1 week is Asian food, and then the other week might be free choice. And then if there's an extra week, maybe double back around. But I think if I can get like those things in my mind, it would really, really help me get a handle on my food budget. So as always, I appreciate you following along. Thank you, thank you. I'm getting a little better. So hopefully if you're starting velocity banking, this might be a little helpful for you. I know I'm not exactly doing it like the right way, but that's just because my credit is so shaky. I just cannot do that because I can't put all my money on a card and then like drop my limit. So that's why I'm just kind of doing it this kind of revised way. But okay, I will check in with you all next month. And until later, as always, be grateful. Bye.